So the Fawcett Society has a really long-standing history. So we date back to 1866, where Millicent Fawcett led a peaceful fight for the women's vote. And since then we've kind of evolved from a single issue campaign into campaigning on all sorts of issues, from equal pay to women's economic equality to political representation. So we've kind of evolved to a much bigger professional charitable organisation. So that's where we are today. We are running two major campaigns at the minute. So the Fawcett Society is very much a campaign for women's rights across the piece. At the minute our focus is very much on women's access to power and women's economic equality. If I just touch on women's access to power, what that really is about is the fact that there is still a dearth of women in all positions of power through public life. So if you look at the corporate sector, or if you look at the political world, and if you even look at civil society, women seem to be missing from the top jobs. So we're really campaigning for kind of 50-50 across the board, and our focus at the minute is very much on political representation. So we are part of the Counting Women In coalition, which is seeking to redress the lack of women in political life. And we think it really matters because actually there are decisions of national importance that are being made at the minute. So decisions about whether to go to war, what type of welfare system we want to have, these are all being made without women playing their equal part. So women aren't around the table in equal numbers to men. So we find this really concerning. So it's about healthy democracy, but it's also about social justice actually. We want our democracy to be representative of all types of women, so it's not just one type of woman, it's a diverse kind of range of women. Against the kind of context of austerity as well, we're really concerned about women having good access to work opportunities. So we've been campaigning a lot on ensuring that systems are in place that allow women to be protected at work. So we know discrimination still exists in all kind of manners of life, but actually in the workplace, even before the recession, we know that 30,000 women were losing their jobs every year because of pregnancy discrimination. So for us, ensuring that there's a robust kind of maternity rights at work, so there's a good parental leave system, there are flexible working opportunities, these are things that will help women stay in work, especially when we are facing a really difficult time for women's access to work. So women's unemployment at the minute is at a 25-year high, and women are being disproportionately hit by the cuts to tax and public spending. So we're really concerned here that women face a triple jeopardy of cuts to their jobs, to public services, but they're also being assumed to fill the gaps where services once existed. So we've got some serious concerns about women's foothold in the labour market. Yeah, so we're very much an insider and an outsider campaigning organisation, so we do work to influence those in power. So a lot of our work is around lobbying on legislation, but also working with parties, with politicians, with powerful people to change the system. But as you say, we also do want to invigorate and mobilise campaigners to take action for us. So at any given time we might be asking campaigners to write to their MPs about a certain issue, or we did hold a day of action last year against the cuts to kind of give women a voice around how they were being affected by the cuts. Currently our campaigns are very much on women's access to power, so we've got a big campaign at the minute asking David Cameron to keep his pledge to make a third of his ministers women, which he promised. And in the most recent reshuffle, what we saw was a 20% cut in women's representation, so he's not really following through with that. We've also got an upcoming campaign on maternity rights, so we have been lobbying very hard to make changes to the parental leave system, which have actually come into being, so that we're really positive about that, and we will be asking people to share their stories and support that campaign as well. So you can get involved by joining Fawcett. I think that's always something to do. We are kind of at any given time campaigning on a number of measures, and there are a lot of threats to women's equality at the minute. So definitely join Fawcett, join one of our local groups. But also you can always check in on our campaigner pages on our website, and we often have actions there that you can take. You can share your story with us. We're always keen to hear about women. Your experiences of discrimination, your experiences of how the cuts have affected you, your experiences of political life maybe. So there's always a way to kind of get involved with us. But I think it's also about spreading the word actually, and I think feminism is so relevant still today, and I think it's about ensuring that the younger generation of women kind of understand but are also empowered to challenge some of the gender stereotypes that still exist and kind of the status quo that women's equality has been won, which is very much something we don't believe has happened yet. You know, there is a challenge for us to make feminism something that's inclusive and reaches a wide audience. I think it's about people really understanding what feminism is all about, actually, and it's a social justice movement, and there's a need for it still today. So I think when you look across all the indicators through public life, we can still see that women aren't equal. So everything from equal pay, where women face a 14.9% pay gap, to the fact of kind of rape conviction statistics across the board, women are still not equal. So I think there is still a job there to be done to kind of, you know, get people on board and actually, as you say, perhaps change the connotation that is attached to feminism. It's something to be proud of, to be a feminist. And I think the Fawcett Society in the past has run quite a high profile campaign on this is what a feminist looks like. And I think it's about, you know, about spreading that word of actually feminism is something to be proud of, and actually there is still a fight to be won. There are still struggles to be had. So the fight isn't over yet. Yeah.